Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're dialing in from. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share if you find this content helpful. Welcome, everybody. Today you will learn about Tobit. This book is written in the 2nd century BC. Tobit is a virtuous and pious member of Isolele living in Nineveh, that is in ancient Assyria. Throughout the story of Tobit, Tobit remains faithful to Tatanzambe, even though he is beset by blindness and poverty. We see this abundantly in his devotion to the Most High, his prayer, fasting, his charity, and his concern for honoring even the dead by giving them a proper burial. Eventually, Tobit's eyesight is wondrously restored, as is his happiness. A second story in the book tells about a lady called Sarah, a young woman of Isolele living in Ekbatana in the region of Media. She is tormented by a demon who has already killed 7 of her bridegrooms on their wedding night. Linking these two storylines is Tobias. Tobias is Tobit's son. With the help of an angel, Raphael, Tobias travels to Ekbatana and is there able to recover money that his father had left there. Tobias is also able to rescue Sarah with the help of Raphael from her tormentor, and then the two, that is Tobias and Sarah, join in marriage. Let's look at the outline we'll be reviewing today. So the 6 main items I have put in this outline today. The first one, we'll talk about Tobit's blindness. How did it come to happen? We'll talk about Tobit and Sarah praying. We'll see what they were praying about. And then we have Tobit giving guidance for his son, Tobias. Then we'll talk about Tobias and Raphael, how they help Sarah in Media. Very, very interesting story there. And then we'll see how Tobit is healed from his blindness. And Raphael explains who he is. And then the book closes with a hymn of praise and last words of Tobit. Okay, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Tobit's blindness. First of all, who is Tobit? Tobit is from the tribe of Naphtali. His greatest ancestor that were given after Naphtali is Asiel, who begat Gabael, who begat Aduel, and then Ananiel. Tobiel is his dad, and Tobit is the dad to Tobias. So that's his genealogy as presented in the book. This book also mentions a place called Tisbe, and this is on the right hand of Kadesh Naphtali in Galilee above Asher. Now, throughout this presentation, I have bolded some texts. Those are of key interest. Especially here, the right hand. In African languages, in African traditions, we don't say the right hand. We say the male hand. That's how we say it. Or the female hand, which is the left hand. But this is describing a region that is on, you can say, the eastern side of Kadesh Naphtali. And remember, Galilee, as we saw, is the Indian Ocean side and the Atlantic Ocean side. Interestingly, in Kikamba, there is a word that says both sides or two sides. And that word is pronounced as Ngale Ile. I believe this is what Galilee is. Two sides, Ngale Ile, which is the side of the Atlantic Ocean and the side of the Indian Ocean. Tobit walked in truth, righteousness. He did many harms to his kindred and nation, to his people. He was concerned about his people. Naphtali at this point and even other tribes had fallen away and they were worshipping the heifer Baal. We saw the worship of a cow in the Commonwealth Games in Scotland a few years ago. Nothing new under the sun. In the book of Tobit, it is mentioned that it was ordained to all Isolele by everlasting decree to observe feasts. Everlasting decree. And those feasts were like Pentecost and so on. Now, Tobit was an orphan at the time of this book being put down. He was an orphan. He also worked as a purchasing agent. He got married to Anna, and despite being an orphan, he was able to set up a trust, a financial instrument for the benefit of his children, his posterity. Tobit, in his lifetime, fed the hungry, clothed the naked, and even buried strangers who were in Isolele, as long as they were his kindred. In a story in the book, Tobit has just buried a stranger, one of his kindred, and he's resting outside a wall or next to a wall where he lived. And some swallows, some birds, they drop, they waste on him. Bird droppings enter his eyes, and that's how he gets blinded. His wife, Anna, she wove cloth. She was working, especially after this happened. She was working, and that's how she earned a living. She even earned bonuses in gifts. She was given in this book, it says she was given a kid, a young one of a goat, as a bonus for her good work. Now, let's talk about Tobit and Sarah praying. What were they praying about? Tobit acknowledges while he's praying to the Most High, this is when he is blind. He acknowledges that his ancestors disobeyed the commandments. He prays to die. Quote unquote, he says, "Command my spirit to be taken from me." He is depressed. He is done. He is like, I have tried to live righteously. I've done everything, and this is the fate that has befallen me. I am now blind, and I can't do the things I want to do. So he prays and asks to die. Sarah is a daughter of a gentleman called Raguel, is also suicidal. She is not related to Tobit. Or at least they're not living together or anything. She's actually in Ekbatana. And she's also suicidal. She's depressed. Her 7 husbands died before she knew them. And Sarah prays a similar prayer. Command that I be released from the earth, that I no longer hear reproach. People are making fun about her. Other ladies, other women, everybody is just talking about her and her 7 husbands who all died on their wedding night before she knew them. So both of them were praying to the Most High, and their prayers were heard before the glory of the great Tatanzambi. So Raphael was sent by Tatanzambi to heal them both, to heal Tobit's eyes and to give Sarah for a wife to Tobias, the son of Tobit, and to bind this demon called Asmodeus, which was harassing Sarah and her husbands and tormenting her. So when Tobit thought he was going to die, he put out some guidance for his son Tobias. First, he asks Tobias that should he die, since he has prayed to die, that Tobias should bury him. I thought it was interesting that he said bury him. He didn't say cremate me or something else. He said bury him. This was a practice in Isolele. He also was telling Tobias to be mindful of the Most High all his days. He's talking, it's like he's giving Tobias, his son, his will. He tells him, keep the commandments, do righteousness, give alms, cheerfully, whether you have abundance or whether you have little. And he says that alms deliver from death. It gets better. He says, don't take a strange wife. Basically, marry from Isolele. He says we are descendants of the prophets. And he goes on to name Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. He doesn't say Esau. He doesn't say Keturah. It talks about the same lineage that we know about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, which is Isolele. Then he talks about don't be idle, because in idleness is decay and great lack. You'll be broke if you're idle. Idleness is the mother of famine. Don't drink wine to drunkenness. Drunkenness. And don't let drunkenness go with you on your way. Don't be high. So Tobit also told his son Tobias about the trust of 10 talents of silver that he had left with a gentleman called Gabael in a different city. He's telling him about this because he thinks he's going to die. He has actually prayed to die. So he also tells his son Tobias that you have much wealth if you fear the Most High. Your wealth is associated or correlated to your fear of the Most High. I'll continue with this point that he gives Tobias. Tobias now has been told, go get that silver that's in the other land, the trust that I left. And he's told, go out and look for a man to accompany you on this journey. And Tobias goes out to town and finds Raphael, who was an angel. But Tobias doesn't know that this is an angel who was dispatched by the Most High. Raphael, the angel, conceals his identity to Tobit and Tobias, claiming to be Azarias, son of Ananias. How did he even know those guys? Of course, he's an angel. Tobit used to worship in Jerusalem, even alone. And he participated in this feast that we've read about in the book of the law, in the books of Numbers, Deuteronomy, offering the firstborn, offering the 10th of increase, which is like a tithe. Tobit, in this encounter with Raphael and Tobias, before Raphael appeared, Tobit prophesied twice that an angel would go with Tobias, his son. This was before he had sent out his son to look for somebody to take him to Ecbatana. Anna says that Tobias, their son, Anna is Tobit's wife, says that Tobias, their son, is the staff of our hand in going in and going out before us. You all might remember some time back, we told you that the staff is called Ndata in Kamba, one of the Bantu languages in East Africa, or rather in Africa. And Ndata is also the same word for a star. So a staff, you use it to prod as you walk along a path. You use it to document your ancestry. It's like it carries all this wisdom that has been passed down generations, and you hold it in your hand even when you're walking for protection and things like that. It's like a tool to lead you forward. And Anna says their son is like that North Star, that leading staff in their hand. So she's worried that he's been sent out to another town, and what if he doesn't come back? Who will take care of them?